Hello again, Josiah here. I'm going to show you layer 2 of my Trikemaster Toolbox. It shouldn't take very long because I don't have nearly as many tools here. In fact, you can see there's a huge space here where my Jaguar Elite Mineral Oil Bleed Kit should go. But I've had that on item watch for about a month with QBP, so hopefully that's coming in soon and I can finish the kit. First off, got my Bursman chain whip. This is great for taking off cassettes. You can see it's got a built-in lock ring tool, and so I don't have to have a separate lock ring tool in my kit. Here is the Bursman 1/2-inch socket driver. It's got a lot of leverage. It's a really hard metal, and that fits all these sockets down here like this external bottom bracket tool. And then also I have the freewheel tool, the cassette tool, which is used in unison with the chain whip to remove a cassette. This is the splined bottom bracket tool, which is the one I use most when I'm doing Bafang installs on older bikes, or even some newer bikes use this quite often. This is a 14mm socket, and that will remove old crank arms off of older bikes. Most things now use an 8mm Allen wrench, but that is something I will occasionally need. Here is a SRAM barb driver tool, and I use this to put the barbs into a hydraulic hose. You can see that this clamps the hose there, that drives the barb in, and you're good to go. This is a Bafang lock ring tool. At this end is actually the same splined bottom bracket tool you see here, and at this end is the actual lock ring for a Bafang motor, which I install tons of motors. Almost every day I install a Bafang motor. These are my Work Pro needle nose pliers. They're very strong and have a very nice edge to them, and can clip cables even pretty well. Over here is my soldering iron, which gets up to 898 degrees and has a digital thermostat on it. You can see I have to wrap this very specifically to fit it in the space that I've made for it. This is, of course, for cleaning the end of the soldering iron. This is my Allison mini multimeter, and this thing works really great, although the wires are pretty short, although I don't need them to be very long most of the time anyway. This is the Bursman clamshell, which is great for adjusting a disc brake if I was blindfolded, whoops, or if I just didn't want to look at the brake while I was doing it. So I almost never use this, because usually I'm staring between the pads and the rotor to get a little crack of light and adjusting it that way. But this is kind of a last resort tool if a brake is being a pain in the ass. It's my Klein wire strippers. This thing has a very nice edge to it and can strip down to a 20 AUG wire. So it's pretty nice wire strippers. This is my Vinzo 4th hand tool. This is great for holding cables in place, but I mainly use it to set the ferrules on the cable housing and pre-stretch the cables so that they don't get out of adjustment later. You can see that it actually locks into place, which is really nice, and so it'll hold stuff so I don't have to hold it. Of course, the housing goes right here, the cable goes in right there, and then it just pulls the cable and locks it in place. These are a pair of Park Tool scissors. And you can see I already have a folding set of scissors in my layer 1. I mainly use these for cutting hydraulic hose because they're actually a really good hydraulic hose cutter if you use this little notch here. I use my little folding scissors for almost every other scissor-like purpose. This is a tool that I probably will never use, but I thought it'd be cool in here anyway. It's actually a plasma lighter, and you can see it's actually rechargeable and uses plasma to burn stuff, which is pretty cool. I'll most likely just end up burning myself with this and not get any real use for it out of it. Here's a couple of picks, and I use these for various pick related things, such as picking my tooth holes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Whatever you might need a pick for. This is the scalpel that I use to cut the Kaizen foam. And you're probably wondering, how did I cut the Kaizen foam if I was using the scalpel to trace? Well, that's easy. I just took one of the blades off another scalpel, or off the same scalpel, and just used it like this. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then last but not least, you got my Jaguar Elite Mineral Oil Bleed Kit, which just has everything you need to bleed hydraulic brakes. We're just going to pretend it's there because I am going to add it later once it comes back into stock. That's pretty much the whole video. Thanks for watching.